Hi there. In this video, you will learn how to create an advanced weather app using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Your all-in-one solution for accurate and detailed weather forecast. Let's have a quick demo right here. Here on the screen, we can see the advanced weather app that displays icon with accurate forecast details for the given city. Today highlights on the right hand side shows the humidity, wind speed when the sun was rising and when the sun will set. And then you can find the percentage of clouds, UV index value and pressure of the city. And then below this week session or the weather condition upcoming 7 days including today. It displays the week value with month and date and then weather icon and its description. All the icons here it was displayed was dynamically picked from the weather API itself. Along with this, we have displayed minimum and maximum temperature for each day. Right now, we have displayed the minimum and maximum values in the degree of Celsius, right? So here too. So we have an option to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Here we can change from Celsius to Fahrenheit. If I search here, we'll get the value to Fahrenheit here. Like this, it will automatically change the value for the each day in the week session and we can check for other cities too. So I will change the city value to London. I will check with the Fahrenheit. If I hit search, now it will automatically change the icon here and we'll get the 53.6 degree Fahrenheit and we'll get the description for this and we'll get the current date and time with the city value and then country here. So again I will change to another city of New York with degree of Celsius. If I search, now we'll get the 6 degree. It will shows moderate rain. So it was at 4:57 a.m. there and then again the city value of New York and the country of US and then we can able to see the next 7 days values here dynamically. That's all for the demo. Before beginning this video, I would like to introduce myself as Sharat Chandar K. If you find this tutorial useful, please subscribe to our channel and watch this video to motivate me. Let's build our own. Here on my desktop, I have already created a project folder name called Weather App. Let me open this into a Visual Studio Code. So for that, I will drag this directory into a Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code will automatically loads all the files inserted. Inside the directory, I have already created a index.html, style.css and script.js. In the index.html, I have already added the HTML boilerplate with the help of exclamation mark. And then I have changed the title to Weather App by Sharat Chandar K and I have linked other two files here with style.css and script.js. Along with that, I have added one more link file to add the Phantasm icons of 6.5.1 CDN here. So inside the body, we are going to add the container here. So I will add the dot with container. If I hit enter, it will automatically create a div tag with the class attribute with a value of container. Inside that, we are going to add the weather input. So again, I will use the same method to add the div with the class value of weather input. If I hit enter, it will automatically create a div here. Inside that, I'm going to add the input group. So same as dot input group. If I hit enter, it will create a one more div. And then inside that, I'm going to add the input element. With the help of this, we are going to enter the city's value here. So we have an embed abbreviation to create the input with the type of text. I will add the ID for this with the help of hash ID value of user location and if I hit enter it will automatically create a input tag and then type text and with the ID of user location and then I will add the placeholder to it, the placeholder value of search for places. Now let us see our HTML file in action. So for that in Visual Studio Code we have installed live server. Once we installed, we'll get the option go live in the status bar here below. If we click this, it will automatically run our project into a default browser. So here now we can able to see the title of weather app by Sharat Chandar K and then input box with the placeholder of search for places. Along with this, we'll add the select box here to select the Celsius or Fahrenheit. So I will add the select box with the help of class. We'll mention as converter and then ID of same converter again, and then I will add the option of two times. One is for degree of Celsius and then second one as degree of Fahrenheit. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can able to see the Celsius and Fahrenheit value here. And then along with this, we'll add the search icon here with the help of font awesome. So I will use the I tag to add the font awesome icons here with the help of font awesome FA and FA search. And if I close, if I save, if I go to the browser, now we can able to see the search icon here automatically. That is how the live server will work. What are the changes we have done through the Visual Studio Code, it will automatically taken care and it will reflected here. Apart from this input group, we are going to add the div for weather icons here. So I will use the same embed abbreviation with the dot weather icon. If I hit enter, it will automatically create a div with the class of weather icon. And then next to this, I will add one more element here, h2 with a class value of temperature. If I hit enter, it will create a h2 with a class of temperature. And then we'll add one more div with value of feels like. If I hit enter, it will create a div here, and then we'll add one more div of description, and then we'll add the horizontal line here, and then we'll add one more div of date, and then we'll add the one more div of city here. If we go to the browser, nothing is there, only we can able to see the HR line here. So now we need to add the styles to this. So here in the style.css, I have already added the import URL of font family pop-ins. Along with that, I have added the asterisk. Asterisk means an wildcard. This will help us to reset the margin to 0, padding to 0, and then font family pop-ins from the import URL, and then box sizing should be border box. Along with that, I am going to add the styles to the body with the help of element selector name called body, and I will set the height of 100 vh, and then I will add the styles to the container. So previously we have added the styles to the element selector of body. Now we need to add the styles to the container. So we have a option to add the styles to the class with the help of dot means class selector, and then the value of container. We'll set the display to flux, and then we'll set the align items to be center. If I save, now we can able to see the display flux, it will be center of the screen. Now we'll add the styles to the weather input with the help of dot again, and I will set the width of 25%, and then we'll set the position to fixed, and then we'll set the insert to 0. Now we'll add the background color to blue color, and then we'll add the padding inner spacing of 1 rem for right and left, and then top and bottom to 2.5 rem. If I save, now we can able to see the styles here. We need to add the styles to the input group, right? So again, I will go here and I will copy this class value of input group, the class selector of dot here. I will set the position to relative, and then we'll set the display to flux again. Then we'll set the align items to be center. We'll add the margin to 2 rem and 0. If I save, now we can able to see the text box, select and icons into the center of the line, right? Because of this display flux, I will add the styles to the input here with the help of input group with subclass of input, and then I will set the background color to white, and then we'll add the text transform to capitalize, and then we'll set the padding inner spacing of 1 rem, and then I will set the font size to 15 px. We'll set the border radius to 6 px, and then width of 100%. We'll remove the outline to none, and then border to none. If I save, now we can able to see the input box here. The same as we need to add the styles to the converter as well as the icon too. So for this, we have already added the class value of converter here. So same input group dot converter, we'll set the position to absolute because we need to place this converter on top of the input, right? So I will set the right of 45 px, and then again I will remove the border to none, outline to none, then font size should be 18 px. Now we can able to see the select box on top of the input, and now we need to style the icons here. So for that already we have a fa search class here, dot input group dot fa search. I will add the position to absolute again, and then we'll set the right to 15 px because we have set this combo box as 45 px and this should be 15 px, and then we'll set the color to light black color, and then we'll set the cursor to pointer, and then we'll set the font size to 22 px. If I save, now we can able to see the icon on top of the input. So for now I will set this width of weather input instead of 25, I will set these things to 40 for now. Now we can able to see the input box and then select box as well as the icon too. And then here we need to set the cursor to pointer for the converter. If I save, now we can able to see the cursor pointer for this. Now we need to add the right side of weather output. So for that again I will jump to the index.html here. Next to this weather input I will add one more element of weather output. If I hit enter, it will create a div tag with a class attribute with the value of weather output, and then inside that I'm going to add the h2 element here with the class value of heading. If I hit enter, it will create one heading, and I will copy this and I will paste it below here. For the first heading I will mention as today's highlights, and then second one as this week, and then next to this heading I am going to add the highlights div here. So for that, with the same abbreviation of dot with highlights, so inside that we are going to add the sessions to be highlighted. So for the first one we need to show the humidity. So I will create a div of humidity with the class value of humidity again. If I hit enter, it will create a div. Inside that I will mention the value of humidity, and then I will add the icon with the class value of font awesome, the help of fa solid and fa water. I will close the icon here. We need to set the value to this, right? So I will add the h1 tag here to set the value, and I will add the id to it to the value of h value, and I will copy the same thing for 5 times because we are going to show the highlights here for the 6th column. So now the second one as wind speed, I will change the value here again with wind speed h1 id value of w value, and then icon should be fa solid wind. And then third one we have a two parameters. So one is for sunrise and one is for sunset. So I will create a span tag here. Inside the span tag I am going to add that with the icon with the class of fa solid fa sun, and I will mention the value here with the help of p tag with span tag again. I will set the id to it. I will add the yes or for sunrise value, and then I will add the text here for sunrise. So I will copy this and I will paste it below. Instead of yes or, this should be sunset, and then icon should be fa regular, and then here instead of sunrise it will be sunset. Here instead of humidity this should be sun, and then next one as clouds, and I will add the value of clouds, and then here for c value, and then icon of fa solid cloud, and then this one as uv index, again the text of uv index with the icon of beacon, and then here uv value, and then last one as pressure, and then value of pressure, and then here that p value, and then icon of volcano. If I save, nothing will happen because we have set this weather input as fixed. So now if I go here, now we can able to see this. So I will set the display to none here. Now we can able to see the values here. So we need to style this. So again I will jump to the style.css. I will add the styles to this weather output div with the class value of weather output with the class selector of dot, and then width of 60 percentage because we have added for the input for 40 percentage. Again, I will set the position to fixed, then insert to 0, and then margin left to 40 percentage because we are going to move this to the 40 percentage of the margin left, and then we'll set the padding to rem, and I will set the background to white again, and then we'll set the overflow to auto. If I save, now we can able to see the today highlights here directly. So I will remove this display none for this one. Now we can able to see the input box as well as the output here. Now here I need to add the break here. If I save, we'll get the space to this. Now we need to style this highlights. So again I will jump to the style.css here with the div value of highlights. I will copy this class selector and I will add the styles to this. So here I will set the display to grid because we are going to show these values as rows and columns, right? So I will set this display as grid, and then I will add the grid template column to be repeat for 3 times with the width of 350 px, and then grid auto flow should be a row, and then row gap should be 1 rem, and then column gap should be 10 px. If I save, nothing is happened, right? So I need to save the HTML because we have changed the class value here. If I save, now we can able to see the column of 3 in a row. If I change these things to 2, if I save it again, now we can able to see the column of 2 per row. So we need a 3 per row for now. If I save, now we need to get this and we need to style this. So for that dot highlights, we are going to add the styles to the each div, right? So with the help of element selector div, now we'll add the styles to the highlights div for each of the column. With the highlights div, I will set the height of 200 px. I will set the display to grid again because we need to set this value here inside this into a row value. So for that I will add align items to be center, and then justify contents to be center, and then we'll set the text align to center, and then background color to blue color. I will add the border radius to 20 px. I will add the padding inner spacing of 1 rem. If I save, now we can able to see the column value here for 3 per row with immediately and other values to be center of the column, right? So I will add the styles to this icon with the help of highlights. I will set the element selector of I will add the font size to 45 px. If I save, now we can able to see the icon size here. We can able to see the sunrise and sunset should be next to this, right? So for that again I will add the styles to this with the help of span tag of sun span tag. I will add the align items to be center, and then we'll set the display to flags, and then I will add the gap of 10 px. If I save, now we can able to see the values next to the icon. So once the value is placed, it will automatically move to here, and then value should be placed below to this. We need to add the one more element here to the this week. So below to the this week element, we are going to add one more div for forecast. If I hit enter, it will create a div with forecast. If I save, we can't see nothing here. So the pressure, we can't able to see the icon here. So the icon value should be volcano. If I save, now we can able to see this. Now we need to add the dynamic values to this columns, right? For that I need to jump to the script.js. In the script.js we are going to declare the declaration with the help of const. I will add the declaration for the input box of user location. User location equal to document. Document is an owner of your web page. Document dot get element by ID. The easiest way to find an HTML element is by ID, and I will use the ID value here. I will add the console.log of user location. If I save, if I go to the console.log, now we can able to get the element of user location here with the help of ID. So we need to declare all other values same like this. So in the same const, I will add one more comma here, and then the next thing as converter. With the help of converter, again the document dot get element by id, the value of converter. The next thing is an weather icon equal to document dot get element by id. So here we don't have the id. So how we need to use this? So for that here we have a option of query selector. With the help of query selector, we need to use that weather icon with the help of dot. So this should be select based on this particular value. If this is a class or id or element. So based on this will pick that particular element here. That is how the DOM tree will work. So here I have created all other declarations with the document dot get element by id and then query selector. So here there are too much declaration. If you want, you can pause and you can create it your own. Now once we enter the location here, once we hit search here, it should be find the location, right? So for that we'll create the function for this. A function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. So inside that function with the keyword of function, the value of find user location, and then I need to call this user function method into the index.html. While clicking this, we need to do that, right? So here I will add the on click with that particular find user location function. If I save, if I go here, if I add an allot of 1, if I save, if I go and click here, now we can able to get the allot pop-up here. So inside this we need to get that location. So before that we need to add the endpoints of the weather, right? For that I will add two global variables. First one as weather API endpoint and then second one as weather data endpoint. So here inside this I'm going to use the weather API open data. So for that here open weather API, here we can able to see the current weather and forecast for open weather map. So inside this we have the documentation. I will go to the API session here. So inside the API session we can get the API documents. These are the API calls and these are the parameters to be passed. Once we pass the parameters and these are the response will be written from this current API. So we can use the free APIs for 1000 it per day. So I have already registered and I have already have that API key. So here you can able to see 1000 API calls per day for free. So for this we need to subscribe this. So for now I need to use the data endpoint to get that particular values, right? So here current weather data, I will copy this URL and I will paste it here and then I will mention my app ID. I have already registered and I have this my app ID here. I will paste this app key. This is a secure key. We need to get this while subscribe and then I will add the and with query parameter. So with the help of this we need to get the details. So for now what I will do, I will use this weather API endpoint to get the details if this is working or not. So I will use the fetch here to weather API endpoint. The fetch method help to process the fetching of resource from the network to fulfill the response. So here I have added the API endpoint. We need to pass that value, right? So here we have added only for queue. So we need to pass the query of city value. So for now I will add the plus and I will set for London here. Then inside this we'll get the response. So I will add the response.json and then again then we'll get the data. Here I will add the console.log of data. If I save, if I go here, the console is empty because we have not yet clicked this. So if I go here, if I click this, now the data is not defined. So here it was data. If I save, if I click on search, we can able to see the code of 200 response and we can able to get the coordinate of the London latitude and longitude and then we'll get the temperature here with the value of description with weather overcast clouds. With the help of this we need to get the weather data too. So here now we have only the limited records, so we need to call the another API to get all the details records. So for that, the same URL of here, I will change the URL of 2.5. After that, I will add one call to that. This is the one more API. This will get that entire details of that particular location. And then I will add and here and will add the exclude minutely and units equal to metric will add the and to the end. So along with that, we need to pass that latitude and longitude to this endpoint. I will remove this then dot response. If I save, if I go and click, now we can able to get the JSON format. So only I have used this then dot response to be JSON. So inside this, once we receive this data, so here we can get that data dot OORD dot LON and I will add the comma again data dot COORD dot lat. If I save, if I go and click it again, now we can able to get the latitude and longitude of that particular location. So instead of this, we need to get the values from the input, right? So I will remove this London from here and we have added the declaration here already user location dot value. If I save, if I go and click here, now we'll get the error here. We're not able to provide that because it throws us bad request. Once we get this, we need to show the alert message to the user. So here I will add the if condition if data dot cod as that code of not equal to null and data dot cod not equal to 200 because if it is 200 we need to get the records and will show the a lot of data dot message. If I save, if I go on it here, now we'll get the error message nothing to geocode. If I say okay, now this again it is hitting. So from here we'll set these things to return. If I hit, now we'll get the nothing to geocode and now from here it is returning. Now this console.log is not firing. So now instead of empty, I will pause the London. If I hit search, now we'll get the geolocations for here. So we need to pass this into the second API. So for that again we'll add the fetch of weather data endpoint plus because we need to pass the longitude and I will add the string concatenation of data dot cod or dot lan and lat of equal to again string concatenation with lat. I will set this only for data here and then I will add the same thing for the response of JSON here and then I will add the data to it the help of console.log data and I will close this API here. If I save, if I go here in the browser, if I hit for London, if I try searching here, the first API is written here. So if I go to the network, now we can able to see the response from here. So if I go to the header or payload, these are the app ID and these are the query of London. So if I go to the header, this was the request URL we have passed and these are the response we have written back from that particular API. How simple is this, right? Once we received, we'll get the longitude and latitude and we'll pass this into the second API. So in the second API, I will go to the payload. Here we have the app ID and we have exclude this minutely and we have set this unit as matrix. These three values we have already added to the API endpoint URL here. Instead of that, we have added two more values that is longitude and latitude and we have passed directly to this fetch and now here we have get the response. These are the latitude and longitude and here we have this current. So this is the values written from the current particular location. This is for date and when this is sunrise happen and when this is sunset. These are all UST code. We need to convert this to current date and time. So now we need to do that. So with the help of this, we need to add the datas to the weather input. So first I will add the city value here after the console.log city.innerHTML because we have already declared the city above and then we need to get the city value. So again I will go to the console.log here. Here we can get this London as data.name. If I save, if I go here, if I add London, if I search, this is undefined. because this is a small n. If I save London, if I search back, see now we can get the value of London here. And then we need to add the country code to this. So where that country code is inside the system, here we have the country code. So here again I will do the string concatenation with the comma of data dot sys dot country. If I save, if I go and do the London, if I hit search, now we'll get the London and then country code of GB, and we need to append the weather icons, right? So in the project folder we don't have any image folder, so how we can show the image to this? So for that, the weather API is providing the images also. Open API images. If you find this, we'll get the weather condition images here. So with the help of this open API again, we'll get the icons with the icon value. So here in the current, we'll get the weather with the icon value of 04D. If I go to the weather condition here, if I will find that 04D, so now we can able to see the broken cloud of 0.4D PNG. This is for D for day and N for night. So we need to use this URL to append the images here directly from the Open API. So here again I will jump to the script.js. In the script.js we have already added the weather icon declaration. Weather icon dot will add the styles to the background here. Dot background, and for the background we need to add the URLs, right? So with the help of URL, I will paste the API URL to this. If I copy it, if I paste, if I save, if I go here, I will search for London. If I hit search, now we have not get that icon. So I will insert here the weather icon. It was placed. See, now it was get this icon here. So we need to style this. So I will jump to the style.css here dot weather icon. We need to set the background position to 50 percentage important, and then background repeat to no repeat, and this also should be important, and then background size should be contain, and then we'll set the display to block, and then I will set the I to 25 percentage. I will set the margin to rem and auto. If I save, now it will be automatically set the styles to this image and it was displayed on here. So if it is London, if I search, we'll get this. If I search for Bengaluru, if I search, city not found because we have misspelled here. If I search again, now the icon is same because we have directly set this image for one time. We need to change this, right, with the help of weather API. So I will go here, instead of this 10D I need to add the string concatenation. So here where the icon is placed inside the weather. Okay, inside the weather of data dot weather, and inside that it was in the zero of array dot icon. If I save, if I go here, if I search for London, if I search, now we'll get this icon of forecasting, and then if I change to Bengaluru, if I search, now we'll get the cloudy icon. We can able to see the difference for both. So it will be dynamic based on the search here. So we need to append other details here directly with the help of this particular search. So right now we have this limited records here. So with the help of this data weather, we have more records. See, inside the current we can able to see the clouds, and then dew point, fields, humidity, pressure, sunrise and sunset, and then temperature, UVA index and visibility. So with the help of this, we need to add the values to this particular session. So we'll go here. Now I will add the temperature. So inside that second fetch, I will add the temperature dot inner HTML equal to data dot current dot temp. If I save, if I go here, if I search for London, now we'll get the 12.53. So we'll add the data for others too. So the next thing is fields like. I will add the fields like dot inner HTML equal to data dot current dot. We'll have the values here with fields like. So before that I will add the concatenation of string with fields like. Then next one as description. description dot inner HTML equal to, will add the description before the icon. So I will add the I icon of class font awesome brands of FA of cloud versify, and I will close that I element here, and I will add the space in between this, and then I will add the values. Again, data dot current dot weather. Already we know the weather is an array of 0, and then description. If I save, if I go and search for London, if I hit the search icon here, now we'll get the icon, we'll get the temperature, we'll get the fields like 12.05, and this is what the description and city and then country code. So here we have added this value, and we need to add the date. We'll add the date for lost because we need to convert this date string to the readable format. So before that, we'll add the values to the hval dot inner html equal to, we can get the current value of humidity to 85. So we'll add the math dot round it for this one. So we have sometimes with dot values, so this should be round and it will be displayed here. For data dot current dot humidity, I will copy this and I will paste it for here, and then we'll concatenate the value with the percentage. So I will add the span of percentage with close of span tag, and then next one as wind value, again with wind value dot inner html equal to, with same math dot round, again with data dot current dot wind speed, and we'll concatenate the string for same thing, and here instead of percentage we'll mention this as millisecond. And then next one as sunrise value dot inner html equal to, will set null for now because these things again we need to calculate with the date and time. So and then the next thing we can add the cloud percentage. So I will copy this here and I will paste it for here, and I will change the value of C value and then UV value and then pressure value. For this one CV, we can directly set this value to the clouds of data dot current dot clouds, and we'll add the percentage here. Again, I will remove the math dot round here, and then for the UV value, we have this parameter of UVI, and this is not required for UVI. And then pressure here, I can copy this and I will paste it for pressure, and it will say HPA. If I save, if I go here, if I add for London, if I search, now we can able to see the humidity and then wind speed and then clouds percentage and then UV and then pressure of this city. So now we need to add the date value to this sunset and sunrise, and here we need to show that, right? So for that we need to add the new method to calculate the time. So I will jump to the Visual Studio Code here. Here I will add the function again with the help of function keyword. We'll create the function format Unix time, and I will pass the dt value, and then we'll set the offset and we'll set the options. Inside that I will add one more const declaration of date equal to new date. We'll set the dt value plus offset value multiplied by 1000. This is a millisecond, and then we need to return this value of date dot to local time string, and this is the array value to be empty, and then time zone should be UTC, and then we'll set that options here, and then we'll create one more function here of get long format date type, and again I will pass the dt value of offset and then options. Here we'll return that above function of format Unix time will set that dt value comma offset comma options. If I save, with the help of this format we can get that particular time frame. I will copy this value and I will go to that particular place of time where we have placed. So for first I will set the sunrise here, we'll get that function and I will pass that data dot current value dot sunset, and then we have a offset already, data dot time zone offset. This is a time zone based on the country, and then we'll set the options. What is this options? We need to pause that particular option to get the date. For the sunset we need to get only the time, right? So for that we'll create one more options here with the value of const option 1 equal to the object of hour as numeric, and then minutes as numeric, and then we'll set the hour of 12 for true. If I save, if I go here now, if I find for London again, if I hit search, now we'll get the 7:36 p.m. as sunrise. The same thing, I will copy this, I will paste it for sunset here. Here this should be sunrise. For this I will change this to 25, then weather output of 75 percentage, then this should be 25 percentage. If I save, if I go here now, we can able to see the design, it's perfectly placed. So again I will find that London. If I hit for search, now we can able to see 6:30 as sunrise and sunset for 7:36. I will check for Bengaluru. If I search now, 6:14 for sunrise and 6:31 for sunset here. And here we need to set the date, right? So again I will jump here, I will copy this, I will paste it for above, and instead of SR I will set these things to date, and here instead of sunrise it could be DT, right? For that current, if I go this one, and here this is DT, and then here you can able to see the time zone and then time offset here. For this one, for the current it should be different time zone, this is for European, and then this is the different time set, so that this is fine. And we need to create the options for this. With the help of const we'll set only option. Inside that option we need to show the weekday as long, and then month as long, and then day as numeric, and then hour as numeric, and then minute as numeric, and then again our 12 should be true. If I save, this option is passed to this date. If I go here, if I search for London, and if I hit search, now we'll get that value. Now we can able to see the temperature, and then Wednesday, and it was 12:05 p.m. on the London. If I check for Bengaluru, if I hit search, now the time is 4:37 p.m. And then we can get the humidity and then wind speed, sunrise and sunset, and we can able to see this. Now we need to style this. So for that again I will jump to the style.css. Here we'll add the styles to the padding, and then weather input. I will copy this weather input, and I will set this value for the feels like, and then same thing for description, same thing for date, and then city too. I will add the comma here. For these things we need to add the padding of top and bottom to be 10 px, and then right and left to 0. If I save, now we can able to see this. Now we need to add the styles to this temperature, right? For that again I will add the styles to this temperature with the help of class selector dot temperature, font size to be 5 rem, and then text align center, and then display to flags, and then font weight to 300. If I save, if I go here, now we can able to see the values here. Now we need to add the dynamic values to this week. So how we can do this? So here in the object we have completed this current, right? The same thing we need to do for daily. So here we have the particular data for the daily with the cloud and then humidity. With the help of this data we need to do that. So for that again I will jump to the script.js. In the script.js we'll add one more collection here to the fetch of console.log of data.daily. If I save, if I go to the browser and I will check for Bengaluru, if I hit for search, now we'll get the daily of 8 times with the current date. So we need to add this into this particular place with the forecast. We need to do the for each for data dot daily, and then instead of element I will mention this as weather, and then we need to use this weather and we need to append that. So I will create one more let of div. We'll create the document dot create element of div. With the help of this div, we are going to append the values. So I will append these values into the forecast. So for this forecast, we have already added the declarations, right? So this is the forecast, and then inside the forecast, I will append this child of div. So now we need to build this div. So for that, div dot inner HTML plus equal to, we need to append the images, right? So for that, we have already added the image URL here. Instead of image URL, we can get this and place it into the div directly with the help of image source. So previously we have added to the background image. So now we have added as an image source. So I will paste it here and I will close this image here. Here instead of data, we have added the weather, because here this is weather dot weather array of 0 with icon. If I save, if I go on it for London again, if I search, now we can able to see the icons to be placed here. So instead of that, I will check for Bengaluru. If I search, it was appending here. So before appending, we need to clear that. So with the help of this forecast, I can clear this forecast for all the time at the function click dot inner HTML equal to will set for null. If I save, if I go here, if I search for London, now it should be rainy for next 7 days. I will check for New York. For the New York, for next 3 days it was rainy and cloudy and it could be sun. We need to add the more info to this. So I will go here inside the for each loop. I will add one more div with append inner HTML of plus equal to. Will set the p tag to add the forecast detail of class. With the help of class, I will set the class value of forecast description with string concatenation of weather dot weather same array of 0 dot description. And I will close the p tag, and then before that we need to add the date to this, right? Again with const equal to options equal to object of weekday as long, and then month as long. Only we need to show week, month and day year with numeric. And then we'll set the div dot inner HTML equal to get long format data of weather dot dt. Time zone should be 0 and then comma options. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I search for London, if I hit search, now we'll get the Wednesday 3rd April at 12 p.m. So this 12 p.m. should not get right, because this get weather format as return value of to local time string. So we need to ignore this. So how we can do this? So we have create one more let declaration to this. I will get this value here and I will move to here. I will split with this split of at. So we can get the split value of 2. So this is for 0 and this is for 1. So instead of this, I will set this daily of 0 of array. If I save, if I go here, if I add for London, if I search, now we'll get Wednesday and April 3rd. This is for today and this is for next 7 day. So we need to style this. So again, I will jump to the style.css. For this one, we have already added the styles. So here, so the same like we need to add the styles to the forecast also. So I will add the dot of forecast and I will use the display to grid again. And then here for grid template column, repeat for 4 times and then width of 260 px, and then grid auto flow should be row, and then a row gap should be 1 rem, and then column gap to be 10 px, and then the same style to be applicable to the forecast also. So what we can do, we can add the subclass of concatenation with dot forecast with div. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can able to see the designs here. Now we have added the values to the Celsius. If I change to the Fahrenheit, if I click search, it is not changing, right? So for that, I will jump to the script.js. I will add one more new function with the function keyword function name as temp converter, and we'll get the parameter of temp, and we'll set the let temp value equal to math dot around here of the temp, and then we'll set one more let declaration of message. These are the message we are going to return with the degree of Celsius or Fahrenheit. So we'll check if already we have added the converter dot value double equal to, we need to get the value of this converter from here. I will copy paste for this degree of C. If this is selected, I need to pass this value with temp value. I will concatenate the value of span here, the Unicode of degree. I will copy this same and I will paste it for else condition 2. This is for B0C and this is B0F. And then if it is Fahrenheit, we need to add the calculation, right? So for that, let Celsius to Fahrenheit equal to temp value multiply by 9 and then divided by 5 plus 32. And we can confirm this calculation for Celsius to Fahrenheit. So 32 degrees Fahrenheit minus 32 and then the value. What was the calculation is done for now, and we need to get this value, and instead of temp we need to pass this and we need to return this message. Return message. And if I copy this temp converter and I need to place this here for the value of temperature, and I will add this function and I will pass this inside temp converter. I will mention this as temp. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will search for New York. If I search, now we'll get the 6 degrees Celsius. See, now we can get that degree of C. If I change to F, if I find, now we can get this Fahrenheit calculation. Now this is working fine. So here we need to append that, right? So for that, again, I will go here. So then next to this, again, I need to add the div dot inner HTML plus equal to, we'll add the span tag here. Inside the span tag, I will add one more span tag and I will add the string concatenation of temp converter and I will pass the value to this with weather dot temp. So here we need to pass that values, right? So again I will go here inside the daily. I can check where the temp is there. Yeah, here we can see the temp day, evening and morning and night. So we need to show only for max and min. So I will use this for dot min first and I will copy this same and I will paste it for again and I will use the max here. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will check for London again. If I search, see, now we can able to see the 9 degree 14 degrees Celsius. So now I need to change these things to Fahrenheit. If I search, now we can able to see the values of Fahrenheit also. How simple is this, right? We need to style this. So I need a space in between this. So I will add a space of and NBSP. If I save, if I go and search for Bengaluru, if I search, now we'll get the space and now we can able to see the icon is different. So I will jump to the style.css to add the styles to reduce this scroll width here. So for that we have a WebKit scroll bar. This should set the scroll bar width here. I will set the width of 5px. If I save, now we can't able to see the scroll bar here. We need to add the styles to that. So again with the WebKit scroll bar thumb, we'll set the background color to light gray color. If I save, now we can able to see the scroll bar with the width of 5. See, now we can able to see this, right? I need to style this temperature subspan. So I will add the value to the temperature of pan font size to be to rem and then margin top should be 20px. If I save, now we can able to see the 34 degrees Celsius. Now we can able to see all the values, but in this week the description is missed. So we need to check that in the script.js. Here we added the description, and if I go on insert here, see the description is added. So we need to add the styles to that with the help of this class. So here I will close this. If I save, if I go and check for London again, so now we can able to see the description here. So we need to style this. So that forecast style I will add the style to this with the dot selector of forecast style. I will set the color to light gray color, and then I will set the font size to 0.8 rem, and then I will set the text align to center. I will set the padding bottom to 5px, and I will set the font style to italic. If I save, if I go here, if I close this, I will check for New York, and if I hit for search, now we'll get the 6 degrees Celsius, and then humidity, wind speed, and all the values it was placed. So for this week, we can get this weekday as well as the month and value of the day, icon, and what was the description. If I scroll, and we can convert these things to Fahrenheit. If I search, now we can able to see this. Here the image was small, right? So we need to add this. I will go for the style.css here in the weather icon. So here we need to add this important. If I save, if I go here, now we can able to see the image icon as bigger. And now we need to add the styles to this image also with the help of description. I will add the description I of styles with the font size 25px. If I save, if I go here, now we can able to see this. So here we need to add the styles to the heading also. I will add the heading of margin 1 rem and 0. If I save, if I go here, if I refresh, this is how the empty thing will show. So first I will check for London again. If I search, now we'll get the icon and then degree of Celsius with the value, and I will search for Bengaluru. If I search, city not defined because of that spell mistake. If I search now, now we'll get the values. See, now it was 34 degrees Celsius and then feels like 32 degree, and this is what the description for that, and you can able to see all the details explanation here. This is what the today minimum and maximum value of degree Celsius, and this is for next 7 days. So with the help of this detailed explanation, we can check our weathers to our current cities. So and then we can change these things to Fahrenheit, and it would be 93.2, and within one click it was converted to the Fahrenheit also. So here you people have one task. So we have added the values for current and daily. So here we have the hourly hours with this API. So you can take up this task and create this hourly basis on top of this today highlight, and you can display all the values, how the clouds and what are the wind speed for this particular hours. You can display it on hourly basis. So this is what the task for you. You can complete this and you can let me know in the comments, or you can tag me in the LinkedIn post also. Finally, we have completed this advanced weather app using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I hope this video will be helpful for you. Please like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel Sarachandar K to watch more like this one. If you are interested in JavaScript projects like this, I have created and added a playlist link in the description. Please do check it out. Now I want to hear from you. If you have any questions or what JavaScript topics do you want us to cover in future videos, drop your suggestions in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep coding and keep learning. See you in the next video. Happy coding. Bye for now. Have a nice day.